It took me a lot
Mm-hmm.
of time to get used to it because I was used to the mindset. I mean, even during a PhD, we are always trained, okay, think of new ways to do things. They have to be novel. They have to be something new and contribute to what's out there. So there's no point repeating what's already done. And the mindset
Yeah.
in industry is very different. Oh, can you scale it up? Is it sustainable?
Yeah.
Can you market it? Can you make money out of it?
Kia ora and welcome to LabMates Beyond the Bench. This is a podcast sharing the stories of how scientists and their research move beyond the lab bench and into the real world. So today I'm joined by Anu, and I'm really excited to hear about her career journey. So could you tell us a little bit about who you are and your career journey and where you studied and what field of research you were in?
Sure. I'm a New Zealander and now an Australian citizen as well. And I guess the ethnicity, I come from India. I studied in New Zealand, my undergrad, my honors, and then my PhD was from New Zealand, from University of Auckland. And then I had a little bit of a break, a maternity break. And then I had my son, and then I did some part-time research assistant positions in the university itself. And then we moved to Melbourne, and I was working as a research fellow with the University of Melbourne here. And that was a couple of years that the contract finished. And then we had COVID, of course. And I transitioned to industry because universities stopped hiring at that point, and there was some kind of stability that I needed in terms of finances and planning what was going to happen ahead. But my research, when I did my honors and my PhD, it was based on sensing DNA. So it was either sensing it through electrochemical means or it was optical detection, so fluorescence, or it was colorimetric detection. And we were working to make like devices similar to what you have for glucose sensors, where you can sort of put DNA on it and detect either E. coli or something, whichever DNA that you're trying to detect. And I was making chemicals that could basically give a response when the DNA hybridized.
Wow.
These were like conjugated polymers that we were making. So my PhD is in polymer chemistry. And then my research fellow, it was fellowship in University of Melbourne. That was basically detecting poisonous gases for the defense. So what the soldiers would face in sort of real life situations, like, chemical warfare, biological warfare, and things like that. So designing small molecules for that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then, now it's completely different. I wouldn't say I'm doing research. I work in industry. I work at a company called Tritech Chemical Company in Melbourne, and we make surfactants. So, and then we make like defoamers, which go in paints and coatings and everything. So we make those kind of chemicals, which is very simple chemistry. But we find that the scale that we make them in, we get so many interesting problems that we have to sort of problem solve all the time. So, and we do some R&D as well, like we formulate chemicals for our customers and improve the formulations if there's issues that are raised. So there is some R&D, but primarily I don't do research anymore.
Oh, wow. That's quite a big jump, isn't it? So when did you move to Melbourne? Did you say after COVID or before COVID?
I
When you
moved before
moved?
COVID. I moved in 2017.
Yeah.
So I had family
Wow.
here in Melbourne, so I just I wanted to be close to them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if you had, do you have just the one son?
Yes, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So you've got family and you wanted to be a bit more, close to other family. Fair enough. And with your move into what you're doing now, it sounds like there was quite a big difference in terms of what you were doing. You were doing a lot of very translational research, very close to creating products and things that would definitely go into the real world. And then moving to industry, right now, the work that you're currently doing is a lot more R&D focused, but also just on that scale up level.
Yeah.
So did you find it quite different to think about what you're doing sort of at a lab level? Did you miss that level of research?
Well, I had to actually beg for the job that I have at the moment because I was applying everywhere and it was COVID. And I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
job market was pretty bleak at that point.
Yeah.
And this job came up and everyone kept replying saying, look, you don't have industry experience. You've got academic experience, but you don't have
Mm,
industry experience. And I was fortunate enough at least to get shortlisted for this position. And then I just sort of asked, look, I'm not getting any interviews or even a position anywhere in industry because, I'm getting rejected outright. So if no one
yeah.
is going to take a chance on me, I will never get that experience at all.
Yeah.
That was somehow, I think I asked for the job in that way. And then it was a big transition to answer your question. It's took me a lot
Mm-hmm.
of time to get used to it because I was used to the mindset. I mean, even during a PhD, we are always trained, okay, think of new ways to do things. They have to be novel. They have
Mm-hmm.
to be something new and contribute to what's out there. So there's no point repeating
Yeah.
what's already done. And the mindset
Yeah.
in industry is very different. It's, oh, can you scale it up? Is it sustainable?
Yeah.
Can you market it? Can you make money out of it? And that kind of a mindset. And it was, I mean, I was doing chemistry for the love of chemistry. I enjoyed what I did. Now it's more, doing paperwork and things like that. There are other things, not just the lab part that I have to do.
Yeah. Yeah. How I've had a similar industry experience where I felt like I was applying for things and just not being seen, very like overlooked in terms of my experience. And the same kind of thing, I felt like because I had no industry experience, I wasn't able to get experience in industry. And it was like a chicken egg scenario.
Yeah.
Do you think there's an element of maybe the way we put ourselves forward as academic researchers on our CVs that might hold you back, even though it's not that you didn't have experience, it's that you weren't talking about your experience the right way? Do you think that's a thing now that you've spent time in industry?
Yes, definitely. I think that's something that PhD students or even the universities, it is something that should be taught as to how do you market your skills? How do you, market yourself better in terms of sort of explaining what you can do, the skills that you get when you do a PhD.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is definitely something that was lacking in how I
Hmm.
presented myself, I would say.
Yeah. Me too. Probably was the same for me as well. With your current job, what is a day in the life of a working in industry as a chemist? So I guess yeah, you still have elements of chemistry in your current job. So what is it
Yeah.
like? What's kind of different?
Okay. So my position at the moment, it's called a process chemist. So a process chemist,
Hmm.
we have two shifts. It's either a morning shift from 6 in the morning or 6:30 in the morning until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And the afternoon shifts from about 1 o'clock to about 10 o'clock at night. And basically it's only the three of us in the lab. So it's a small family owned business. In that way,
Hmm.
there's only one chemist who will run the shift at that point. So we have a schedule where we've got about 14 reactors here on site, and we have different products that we are making. And depending on which processes they are at that point of time, we will get samples. And if something goes wrong, we have to raise it and we have to think of how do we rectify it? Do we quarantine that batch? What do we do with the quarantine material? What happened? We have to do an
Hmm.
investigation. We have to report it. And we have to, if the batch hopefully, finishes properly and, passes all the tests, then we raise a CFA, we release the batch. Sometimes we also help with like issuing labels, like making the paperwork for the operators to do the batches out there. So
Hmm.
and we also have projects of our own, which the technical director gives us. So each chemist has a set of projects that we work on when we have time. So we
Hmm.
sort of do that, and we go from like a lab scale to about maybe 1 kilo to about 20-ton scale. So we have to think of
Wow.
the safety hazards that can arise. And it's been really
Mm-hmm.
very interesting, and really, I have learned a lot in the 4 years. I've worked in industry for 4 years. I would say the
Mm-hmm.
last 2 years were probably the toughest when I first started, because I just didn't know like where to begin. There were so many products. I wasn't given any time to go, during your PhD, you have time to do a literature search. You have
Yeah.
time to read about it, to understand about the processes and the chemicals. Here I was told, okay, this is the product, jump to it, start testing, that's it. So there was no time. Yeah. And it took me a while. And I think I spent about 6 months going through all the operation procedures, the OPs, the PRs, the production records and everything,
Mm-hmm.
looking at, okay, why are we doing this step? Why are we testing at this point? What happens, if something goes wrong? Okay, this is, how I can rectify it. So I think now I have
Yeah.
come to a point where I've become too comfortable with the job now. It's become easy in that way. Yeah.
Yeah. That's quite interesting because I always thought that in industry there wouldn't be as much to learn, or there wouldn't be as much to, yeah, I guess learn for yourself because
Yeah.
you're not doing like novel research. But you're right that it's quite regimented. Like you have to use products in a certain way or have them very much um, within the product date. So you kind of scan things in and you can't use anything that's a bit old or been sitting around, and everything kind of is a process.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm quite used to an academic lab where it's kind of like when I go to bake a cake and I just throw some ingredients in and I'm like, that's a cupish, that's
Yeah.
a teaspoon of this. Industry, it's very much like this is the exact amount that you need for this, and this is the exact amount. You follow that SOP to the T. Is that correct? Like, is that how that understanding of industry versus academia is?
I
Maybe
would
it's a bit
say,
different in chemistry.
yeah. Yeah. No, I would say, if I had to compare, so look, you would have like, so let's go with, I would say the boutiques that are there. So let's go with the fashion industry. So you've got, where they're
Yeah.
individually stitched, and there's a lot of attention to
Mm-hmm.
detail to that product. So go to an industry position, then the products that are there. So will be like if you go to Target or, Kmart or Big W, where it's more generalized, and the material, they have to
Mm-hmm.
think of the cost of the material. Can we offer this kind of,
Mm.
material at this price? The color of it, yeah, all of that goes in. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really consider it like that.
Yeah. It's, I mean, for me, the biggest change was looking at, okay, look, I had to be accountable for my time. So when I was
Mm.
doing my research fellowship or my PhD, of course, I had to be accountable, but I could organize my time schedule and my work schedule according to how I wanted to work. And as long as
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we used to have regular meetings every week or twice, once in a fortnight, to report the progress on the project and things like that. So that used to happen. So yeah. But in terms of answering your question, it's sort of, see, when I get a product, so I was sort of lucky to be involved with the product, a cleaning product that we use. Traditionally in industry, they use diesel to clean bitumen that we put on roads and everything. So the customer wanted something that was biodegradable, something that would be sustainable. And for us to
Mm-hmm.
work on that, I sort of had to look at, okay, what are the characteristics that they want. We got a product that would work, but then they came back to us and said, can you make it thicker? Can you do all of these things? So you have to tweak the formulation in that way. And then we make pilot batches, and then we see, okay, what worked, and improve the formulation if it works any better afterwards.
Hmm. That's definitely a bit of research in there as well.
Yeah.
And knowing that someone's going to use the thing that you create because they asked for it is actually quite nice.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think every time I see that product in the plant or when it's advertised, I always feel proud that I was part of that. And it feels like,
Yeah.
even in your PhD, I think I'm sure you would know, like you feel like it's a part of you. You feel like it's a baby that you feel attached to.
Yeah. Yeah. You're part of that process.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, do you think there are skills within your PhD that you still use? Do you read literature? Do you read like publications in any way? Do
Yes.
you present? Yeah, like what are the skills that you kind of still use that are still relevant for a chemistry industry job?
In terms of reading literature, yes, when we have to do some R&D in terms of looking at the best synthetic routes that we can use as to what's commercially viable. And in terms of those, yes, we have to look at literature. In terms of presenting, I mean, it's not exactly encouraged. That is something I miss, going to conferences and presenting, your research and talking to other researchers. So that is not something that is encouraged here anyway, because, and part of it is probably because we are such a small company. If you
Mm,
probably, if I had chosen to go to a big company, probably there might have been better opportunities over there. But
mm-hmm.
we do present our work at technical meetings and stuff. So in that way, I have to make reports when the projects I make, the experimental work. So all of that goes in
Mm-hmm.
anyway. So we have those skills when you do your PhD. So that adds to it.
Yeah, cool. And you work with a really small team. But you have to do shift work. Is that just because of space, to be a productive working company? You have people working in the morning and people working in the afternoon just so you can work more around the clock. Is that what the
Yeah.
purpose of that is? Is
Yeah.
that common?
Yes, it is. Yeah, in industry, I mean, normally there's also a night shift as well, but in our company, we don't do night shifts. So the plant is only open from 6 in the morning to 10 at night. So the way it's organized is so that, I mean, we have the morning shift is probably most of the time it's the busiest shift. And then the afternoon shift,
Mm-hmm.
depending on which part of the week it is, gets busy. And the mid shift
Mm-hmm.
person that's there, that chemist helps with like requests that come from the sales team, or, that's the time when they do
Mm-hmm.
their project work and everything. So when we are testing, like we have testing turnaround time as well. We can't take too much time in testing it. And if we
Yeah.
have like, that was something actually that sort of used to make me very anxious, because I would know that there's a truck waiting, the products going in there, and
Yeah.
they're waiting for me to say if it's passed or not. And yeah, I had to do it on time. So we get about
Yeah.
15
So
minutes.
deadlines.
Yeah. So we get about, I would say, 10-15 minutes to test products. And sometimes we get like 3-4 products at a time. So you have to get used to doing different tests, starting different tests, and, sort of organizing your time that way.
Yeah. I would say that sounds way more time pressured compared to what you experience when you're in an academic lab. I can't even get some collaborators to, respond to deadlines on time, but you don't have that luxury when you're in an industry setting. So, yeah, could make some people nervous if they were considering that career path if they didn't like the
Yes.
deadlines.
I think I always tell my boss as well that it's taken me so long to get used to working, to be comfortable, not to get
Mm,
anxious. That was one of the biggest fears for me, was like, am I going to mess up a batch, like a 20-ton batch? And what if I mess it up? So that was one of my biggest fears, I would say. And then slowly, I think I got used to the processes that happen. And I was lucky enough to get a lot of support from the technical director and the teammates that, we have. And
mm-hmm.
they helped me understand it and sort of help me learn the skills that are there for testing. We do a lot of titrations. We use the GC, we use an HPOC as well. And we do
Mm-hmm.
a lot of, I guess, sort of acid-base chemistry. So
Hmm.
sort of trying to find how many hydroxyls there are in the product and things like that. So yeah. So it's definitely learning, your high school chemistry again, like doing titrations and
Titrations. Yeah.
getting used to that.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. Even I remember my high school titrations. Did you feel like your transition into an industry role was particularly supported in when you came from an academic career, or did you find it like you were on your own and you just had to figure it out? Like, what did you use to help you,
Yeah.
find jobs and figure, yeah, how did you figure it all out?
Well, I think, yeah, to sort of touch base on what you said earlier, I think I came with the mindset as well that, oh, industry is, jobs are very easy. Working in a lab, it's very easy compared to working
Hmm.
in academic settings or doing research
Yeah.
then. And I would say I was a brat in that way. So it's, I never actually gave, yeah, the sort of respect to what a person has to do day in and day out.
Hmm.
And in that way, yes. And also when I wanted to do an industry position, so I mean, my son was about to start school and COVID happened.
Hmm.
He had joined school and then he had to be homeschooled. So it happened
Hmm.
in that way that I had to stay at home and help him study and to do the online schooling and everything. And
Hmm.
I started applying and sort of all the rejection letters and everything. And then I said, okay, whatever, if someone is going to give me a shot, I'll take it. And then I was tutoring
Hmm.
when I didn't have a job anyway in the middle. So,
Okay.
yeah, it was sort of whatever I could get at that point. I don't think there's a lot of support for academics to go into industry. That is something that I
Hmm.
find, especially in the field in chemistry. It's sort of there are very few programs which help PhD students to get into industry. There are programs for BSc, like undergraduates and masters
Hmm.
students to get in. That's there, like graduate programs that are there. But for PhDs, there's
Hmm.
nothing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, very hard. Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, you made it, which is cool. But I think you're right. I think that it would be nice to see some more support around that transition space. What do you think the biggest myth about leaving academia would be? Do you have any, like, I don't know, what is it that you believed in that was completely untrue about leaving academia? Like, for me, I always got told that if I went to industry, I was going to the dark side, or that I was selling
Yeah.
out for money, or yeah. Like, what is the like myth that you believed in that is completely untrue?
No, I would say the myth was that I would be doing a boring job if I go from academic setting to an industry setting.
Yeah, but that's not the case. You enjoy what you do, and you're
Yes,
still doing
definitely.
some chemistry. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think part of the job is the liaising that we do with the production team. So the lab has to be
Hmm.
very involved with the production team in terms of what's happening in the plant and where the processes are at that point. That sort of, I guess, the rapport that we have with them and, working together as a team to get a
Yeah.
product out of the door, that's something I enjoy. So you're sort of very
Hmm.
isolated when you work in a research lab where you're working with, your own project. Although you have lab mates that are there, but they
Yeah.
don't know much about your field.
Yeah, I can imagine. Absolutely. And what would be your one piece of advice if you were mentoring a PhD student or even a postdoc who was thinking about a similar transition? And yeah, what would you tell them to focus on when they're applying?
If they want to get into industry, I would say contact
Hmm.
industry sort of companies and ask them if they can give you voluntary internships or if you can just go and get some experience in the industries. So they have a certain kind of internships for engineering students who are doing their
Hmm.
masters and PhDs and everything. But I think it's only started recently now that, providing that industry experience for PhD graduates in sort of I would say the basics science, or yeah, sort of chemistry, physics, and mathematics and everything.
Final question. Now that you're not in an academic setting, do you still consider yourself a scientist?
Yes, definitely. Yeah,
Yes.
yesterday and today, like I've had two batches that failed in the lab. So
Perfect.
yeah, so I was getting depressed, saying, okay, what's happening, trying to figure out why it's, failing. And my boss told me, no, it's a learning process, you're learning. So sort of look at it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say
Yeah.
I'm learning every day. I think that's the sort of a definition of a scientist, isn't it? Someone who's open-minded and someone who's eager to learn.
Yeah. No, it sounds like you're very much still a scientist. So well done. Awesome. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much, Anu, for talking to me today and telling me about how it is being a process chemist. Is that what it is? Process chemist, did you say?
Yes.
Process chemist within industry. And yeah, working from that lab scale upwards is such a different journey to what you were doing in academia. And it's really cool to hear about how you made your move, why you made your move, and what life is like for you now. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun talking about my process anyway, coming into industry.
Thank you. As we wrap up this episode, we hope you found the insights and stories shared today both inspiring and thought-provoking. If you're eager to connect with like-minded individuals and collaborate on exciting projects, we invite you to join the free LabMates platform. It's a vibrant community where innovation meets collaboration, and your next big idea could be just a conversation away. Sign up today and start building your network.